A new report shows your child may not be getting experienced help during an emergency at school.
CBS 2 This Morning anchor Janae Ryan presses education leaders and lawmakers for the solutions to the problem in this CBS 2 News special report.
On paper, Iowa looks like it's doing great when it comes to school nurses. The Centers for Disease Control recommends one nurse per every 750 students. And according to the National Association of School Nurses, Iowa has about one nurse per 889. That puts us at number 18 out of all 50 states. But when you step into a corridor school, you'll realize those numbers don't mean much.
Okay, come here, bud. Oh, bloody nose.
Carrie Peterson is the only nurse for the Owine Community School System.
Hold tight. Don't move. I wouldn't trade my job for anything in the world.
Every weekday, she's responsible for all 1,200 kids spread through 4 different buildings.
But it's very stressful.
This isn't only happening in rural districts.
This is our health office here at Liberty High School.
Sophomore Elizabeth Wagner comes here when one of her chronic headaches sets in.
She'll say, go ahead, lay down.
How you doing?
Her mom, Deborah Wagner, is Liberty's attendance secretary.
How often do you actually see the nurse?
I don't think I've ever seen the current one.
Only 8 nurses cover the 14,100 students spread throughout 29 buildings in the Iowa City School District.
And they're always concerned that they're not going to be in the right place at the right time in the event of an emergency.
District officials say Liberty's nurse is only there 45 minutes a day.
I think it's almost to the point of being dangerous.
I'll never forget my first year on the job.
Susie Polton, the health services coordinator for ICCSD, doesn't think parents know the reality.
They assume that the person who is handing out medications to their child or would be treating their child, providing first aid in the event of an illness, they just make an assumption, oh, that must be the school nurse.
1 or 2.
But mostly, their assistants.
If something terrible happens with some of those paraeducators there, and they're doing their best, but they're not licensed professionals.
I am most worried that there is going to be some sort of an emergency situation and there won't be a nurse readily accessible.
When you sniffle,
leaving teachers and staff to deal with the situation.
okay, unless you've done CPR on somebody, which unfortunately I have, you're in a whole different role. Your mind is in a whole different thing because you just stop and focus, and I've been trained, so that's just what I go.
On top of bouncing from school to school, nurses are responsible for loads of forms, records, and audits.
August through December, probably 80% of my time is doing paperwork.
But there's no expectation of how many hours will that nurse then be in the building.
Sharon Guthrie, executive director of the Iowa School Nurse Organization, says she knows nurses who only work an hour a week per school.
So if you're the nurse and you're only going to be there for 4 hours out of the month, what would I focus on?
Those girls get absolutely nothing done. They maybe can see 1 or 2 crises, and that would be it.
Terry Schloss is the president of the Iowa School Nurse Organization and a school nurse for the Cedar Rapids Community School District. She says CRCSD meets the state's recommended ratio of 1 nurse per every 750 students, but they're still stretched between 2 to 3 buildings.
So how do we improve that?
We try to get a nurse in every building all day, every day.
Right now, there are 1,500 school buildings in Iowa.
So that's what you take to the doctor's office.
And only 800 nurses. According to Guthrie, we need 700 more to do that.
I would love to see parents speak up and go to school boards and demand that we have more school nurses.
We don't hear from parents enough.
Talk to your administration, talk to your parent-teacher associations.
Go above them, too. Talk to your legislators.
Do I think that we could do better? Yes.
Senator Liz Mathis says it all comes down to money.
Do you think nurses' voices are being heard at the Capitol?
Yes and no.
Yes, she says, when they're asking for something that doesn't cost anything.
But no, when maybe someone submits an idea that we need 1,000 new school nurses across the state of Iowa. We have to take a look at the budget.
Still, if that's what parents want,
you have to keep it in front of legislators. You have to keep at it.
I think we proved a miracle.
Because this isn't just about stopping a bloody nose or making sure your kid gets a pill.
Whether it's a mental type of thing she needs to do with depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts.
School nurses say between 1/3 and a half of their day is spent dealing with mental health issues, especially at middle and high schools.
I'm going to find you a purple shirt.
And beyond that, it's about making sure your kid gets what they need.
I see kids that are abused. I see kids that have an 8. I see kids that don't get the hugs and don't have people that care. Think we'll be all right? You go home every day and you wonder, what else could I have done different?
And each school nurse would be able to do more if there were more of them.
Give me another 5. Awesome. See you later, buddy.
The nurses I spoke with suggest bringing up creative ways to fund them to your school administrators, like a small yearly health fee for each student, and also reach out to them. Let them know about your kid. Senator Mathis is working on a bill to build a children's mental health system, and if it passes, she says school nurses will be even more critical. Janae Ryan, CBS 2.